Nice. They did it. Woohoo!
Don't wanna waste all these feelings. I got a taste. 이 바람을 난 놓치고 싶지 않아. 갑자기 느껴진 거야. Don't wanna waste.
Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And today I'm going to be reacting to Riize Memories from their Kcon LA 2023 performance. So I feel like they don't even have a dance practice out for this yet. They just released the music video not even 12 hours ago at the time of this video being made. So I feel like super ahead of the game right now. So I know part of me is like, oh, I should wait for them to do the really nice dance practice, but part of me is like, no! I want to see what they look like in the live context. I believe this is their one of their first performances live. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this looks, especially for them being a very new group. I know some of them have been trained longer than others, some have been affiliated with other groups. So I'm very curious how their group chemistry is in this context. So without further ado, let's get into it. That was nice. Nice little camel walk transition. So far it's setting up like a typical boy group with like 4th gen. But they're making really nice choices in how they're hitting their musicality here. Kudos to the person filming this, that I'm able to get such a good angle of this. Parkour! Love it. Nice to have a jump. Nice. Still keeps with that viral trend like what I saw in their Siren video. I like the song. Okay. Okay. It's a lot of footwork for nice cross. Ha! That was nice. I liked that. Okay, so I don't know how I feel with the chorus. It feels very I don't know if it matches the rest of the aesthetic of the song, but also the song is changing so much. Where it just feels, I don't know. That was a very, was it Stray Kids or something like that? See, look, there you go. It changed again, which maybe their trend as a group. Ooh. Okay. Oh. I will say they do a good job captivating through dance, like, breakdowns. This is definitely one of the more intriguing ones. They're doing a really good job too on their cleanliness. They don't look like a new group, if that makes sense, which is cool. They're not making typical new group mistakes. Nice. So I do like the fact that this is different than the first couple of courses. I would say out of the 2 sets of choreography, I think I'm liking this one more than the first course version. Nice. They did it. Woohoo! Good job. That was great. Initial thoughts, I enjoyed it. I would say they have done a great job of whatever style that they've been given so far, which, fun fact, I do know who choreographed Siren. It was Josh Price. So shout out to him. I don't know if he was also a part of this choreography. If he was, very big kudos to him, because that's not his typical genre that he normally tackles with his choreo. So I would say shout out to him if he did choreograph Memories as well as Siren. But let's get into it. So I'm gonna back it up and then lower it to a 0.75. So as they come on, I'm assuming they did a two-part, so I would assume that they did Siren first, or they did this one first, one of those, but probably not too much, because at Kcon I know you pack in a lot of artists in a big concert per day, so I'm assuming they only did those two. That was fun. I'm a star. So notice that everybody made their own choices, but they were framing outward because of the formation that they were in, and he was hitting the chest there, and he's the singer too. So that was interesting that everybody's just, I'm assuming that the choreographer was like, okay, then melt after you jump, go ahead and melt back to where everybody's on the same page. And that was still very casual, where they were like throwing their hands up. They were making their own choices, but they were more guided the second time because they were going more towards the outside. And then, so you notice that they did the same choreo, but they mirrored it, but it matched the rhythm. Dun 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 dun. So it makes sense just with the order in which they chose to do that. Now what they're doing there, it looks like they were trying to do a camel walk. Let me see. So whenever you do a camel walk, a lot of it, and how you make your own flavor of a camel walk will stem from the usage of your hips. So in order to do one, it's one leg is pretty much straight and you're shoving the hips forward while creating one of the other legs. The leg that you don't have most of your weight on is gonna be the one that's bent. And then you swing those hips back, push it forward, back, forward, back, forward. And that's how you get that look of a camel walk. So they only did like one or like two, I think, to do that transition. So that was cool. Most of the time people just use a camel walk for a full transition. So it's cool that they only did it for two and they went a different way for that. So I do think there's a chance that my my individual here, he may not have gone down when he was supposed to, but let's double check that. Yeah, he didn't have as much of a prep going down. So I don't know if that was just a mistake or if that was on purpose. That was nice where he did a little moment that infiltrated their heads, and he's adding more weight onto his arm. I can tell most of them are placing, you notice that he's putting more weight here. They're kind of just putting it as a position. So that would be something that I would clean personally, is whenever you are looking down, where do you want your weight to go? And a lot of times you can answer that question based on what they do after. And so noticing that they're doing a groove, here's how you can make the groove look so much better. So my person here, his groove is so much bigger in the shoulder because he's actually allowing weight to push off of from that arm that he's putting his weight on. But notice that these guys are not, and you can tell just by placement, if you have about half of the finger on the ground, it's just a placeholder, and so they're probably utilizing their chest more and they're just kind of going through the motion. There's no weight behind it, but I can tell immediately that my dancer right here, he's able to go more into the groove because of what I already mentioned, because he already has weight there. And it's really nice that they're digging, and again, he's creating that groove that complements what they're doing on the ground. So I would say that's something that I really like about this group's choreo already. So whoever choreographs for them outside of Josh, if he's going to continue to choreograph for them, I really like those moments, and I really like Josh's work on them specifically. So they go down, up, da da da. And I remember I really like this moment. And notice that instead of going just back as two simple grooves, they just went back twice towards one side, and that's a lot harder to reset that groove to make it look nuanced like that. So I was pretty impressed by that choice. Da-da. Yeah, that was nice. They're doing a good job too of knowing who your focal is. So because it's either they're framing the focal or how they're featuring the featuring the vocal. Forgive me. They're doing really good weights. Like these are typical formations, but how they're doing it, it doesn't feel forced, which is fun. Nice. So they go hit, 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 hit. So a lot of times this groove here, it's just a really nice, I call it like a placeholder move whenever you don't, a thing with group choreography or choreography in general is you don't want everything to be a moment. And I don't know if others have mentioned that, but you really don't, because that's going to take away from other moments. If you're trying to make everything a moment, you're not going to appreciate the true moments that end up happening in choreography. So that kind of stuff, like this move here, I wouldn't really equate that to a moment, even when you try to attach musicality to it, which if you don't know what musicality is, it's the feeling or the relationship between your music and movement, and the connection between those. So a lot of times we go off of layers. So what sounds are you hitting in your song as a dancer, and then also what is the sound context, so your timbre, right? So in what way are you choosing to create texture in your body to help emulate a particular sound? And so that's what musicality is in dance. And music is different, but in dance, that's been kind of the common denominator definition. And so they have done a fabulous job matching their music, and the choreographer meets them halfway on that, but it really takes them having to commit with their grooves and their texture and how they choose to do it in order to make it look like this. So it's really nice. That was nice. So I'm assuming that they did like a peel forward where they had some pauses and pauses and pauses. And look, they're having we're on stage right now. Let's go. And they're jumping. And it's great that they got their timing right there. To the west side, and get it? They're on the west side. They're in California. So that's kind of funny that they're on the west side of the US in this moment. That was fun. Okay, I love this groove. I will say, I mean, I'm going to stand by what I said earlier. I really feel like the last chorus choreo really matched the aesthetic of this song, or this part of the song, a little bit more than this section, but I do like it. I don't want you to think that I don't like it because I have a preference over one over the other. Do I feel like this matches 100%? No. And reason why? It just turned, I think like there's certain groove shifts that happen here that may match the part of the music a little better than if they put these types of grooves, like the swings. And how they're holding their torso, they're locking it up so much more here. And they're like the swings of the hips. It's just the texture is so different, or their groove is so different, that it kind of just felt like it's a completely different concept they're trying to justify, right? So it looks like they're like the fun kids on the block, you know, and I know that a lot of people have commented, thank you for this, of they're taking a huge nuance or influence off of HOT because they also came from SM. But maybe this is one of those things where they've taken that inspiration from. But personally, for me, it feels like there's two different concepts that they're trying to mesh together that aren't necessarily 100% meshing, right? But it doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't good. Like, but I love the choreo. I just feel like it's kind of, this part made me disconnect a little bit more from what they've set it up with. But that's just my opinion. I love that. That's nice and simple, and I think it gives a great opportunity for them to just enjoy the chorus. Tap, 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 where they're just tap, 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 tap. And what you can make that to create more resistance there is the usage of the chest and doing a little body roll as you create tension in the back to press those arms up as you tap, and use the balance of the standing leg to tap that foot around. So that was really nice. There's some great polyrhythms in here. Yeah, so you notice just the bounce is so different in this, and I like it if it was just by itself, right? But because it's with the other stuff, like with the verses just don't match this as much, and maybe that was their intention. So that was nice that they had a nice lean, and then they leaned over. So that's really hard to be able to create that kind of tension, especially when you're coming from a really more aggressive beginning. That's interesting when they go hit, and then they use a sense of opposition with the legs as they slide that leg up. I mean, honestly, they're hitting some really interesting pockets here with the legs, you know, which is kind of fun. I like that a lot. There's my focal point there, and then now listen, it changes. It just feels like a completely different song, you know. And I'm just gonna assume that that's exactly what they wanted, and mission accomplished. If that's the case, because I totally see it choreographically too. Yeah, so just doing that, what made that look really cool is that they created opposition with my individual. So they did the same thing, so notice that. But notice that we had two of them mirror, but they like double mirrored it. So instead of having your two columns, and then you had your individuals, like the people who are in the center of those columns go one direction, and then the others go the other direction. Not only did they do that, but they mirrored the columns themselves. So you have your outside people, so your front and your back, they were going opposite of each other, so that caused my middle people to therefore also go opposite of the other people, but also they were opposite of one another as well. So that created this really nice geometric formation. I hope that made some sort of sense. So that's why that looks so interesting, that little section right here. Right, you see that? So that was really cool. Cool, so they do a good job. So I'm noticing this trend where they have their focal here, and then they have people framing him there, and then you have my other people. They're doing a good job of kind of going out to the other people in the audience, which is really nice. Nice. I will say there, they could have dug a little deeper in that groove. Whenever you bounce, use the legs as you throw, right? across. So I noticed my guy right here, I would feel like out of all the people, he's probably one of my vocalists, maybe. Yeah, he is. Just for that phrasing. But I can also tell that he's probably not the dancer of the group because he's not using his carriage when he has the opportunity to. So what I mean by that is a lot of times you're going to see dancers, or you're going to see people when they dance and they're not the one singing. You can tell that they really get into it a little bit more, right? Not really because of where they are, but really just because of the choreo, right? But for him, out of everybody, when he's not singing, he's not going for it in the same way, but it doesn't mean he's not going for it. I can just tell that he is not the dancer. Like here, this is a great comparison right here. So you notice my guy right here, I'm assuming he's one of our dancers, and I can tell he is not, but he's holding his own. So kudos to him for that. But just notice. So notice he is leaning in opposition of the hips to the chest, and he is not. His is more minor, and he's he's keeping his face and his chest honestly stationary, and he's kind of like not rocking. I mean, he's trying to isolate, but this other guy is adding a rock to it, and it's nice and fluid, and for him it's more of movement, right? So that's the difference between texture and movement. Both did the choreography, but if you want to look at who's doing it more with a groove essence to it, my guy right here, which is why he's the point of this section. And as they go hit, that's really nice, just a nice little hit, and that's nice and chill too. I don't know, is he the one who's, yeah, he may have been. So that was really nice there where they pause, it's just him, and then they have other people add on here. That was fun. Nice. They did a different formation here. So let me see, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so they do have 7. Let me see, I'm assuming this formation, it's either the angle, well, they are center, and this is, fun fact, that's how you can tell they have little markings on stage, so that really help your dancers and help the artists stay center, and this is a really good indicator if this is your center. So if you didn't notice that, that's what, dance competitions, they do that, at dance recitals, they do that, at least in America. I know that's the thing, so I'm appreciative that they put that there for them. So I'm just going to assume it's the angle as to why the formation looks off, but as you can tell, these guys are supposed to be mirroring each other, and these guys mirror each other, and he's my point, but it kind of looks like these guys are a little too far in and they're a little too far out. So, but because this is not a frontal, we're just going to assume that the angle is off, not them, because this is not my true center, because it's arched. That was nice. I really do like it whenever they just have moments. That's simple movement, but they really allowed everybody to just, that's your breather. This is breather choreo when you think about the other stuff compared to the breakdown. That was nice. So what's nice is he was going into a new formation. Like, this looks better. I like this one. He didn't do the first half of that choreo, even though he wasn't the feature, but he did a good job of getting to his spot, even though his section was done. He didn't take away, even though I noticed it, he didn't take away from him still being featured, which is a really nice feat, which shows that he has great stage presence. Good. Dun, 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 dun. So it was really cool that they used the body to kind of lunge out to kind of meet that vocal rhythm there. Okay, this right here, isn't that from Stray Kids? Da, 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 da. Yeah, NNFO, that one, right? I may have to watch the dance practice just to see if that's just his little moment freestyle and he chose to pay ode to Stray Kids, or that's in the choreo, because that changes my feedback on that if that's the case. So I'm going to assume that was him having his own little moment, because that's just what it felt like. It wasn't enough to equate to any choreography biting, so I'm not going to say that's what it was. That was a nice little moment because you had that bass happen and they used their shoulders. So if you want to know how to do that, you're going to take your lats, which is in the back, and you're going to push them down. So you're going to shove your shoulders down, and that's how you're going to create that kind of tension or that hit or pop motion, which is what you saw here. Yeah, right there. Boom. And what they're doing is, in order to get that to match the drums, they're rocking forward and back and forward and back, and that's how they're getting that. And now we're getting into the dance break. Nice prepping. That was interesting that they chose to do that, because everybody here was rocking down, and the reason why it didn't just look like they were rocking their upper bodies is because they were allowing their feet to turn out at the same time, and that really helped make that look really cool, and it helped them make he was able to go more subtle. but still look like he was in control of his feature or his moment, because everybody was framing him in the footwork. So he was doing something more minor in his feet, but it was still complemented by what they were doing. Do you see what I'm talking about? So that's really cool. Yeah, so they just do a nice little rock with a bounce, which pays ode to the old school hip hop groove. It's really nice. Nice. So they go click, 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 click. So I'm seeing a lot of that, a little bit more here. There's our line again, and then we have my guy right here. Okay, okay, so there's a slight chance, there's a good chance, we don't have the dance practice, so we can't verify this. A good chance that he may have been in the wrong spot and he just played it off. That's pro move. Or he was supposed to be there and having my feature and having him here and then going to side. Normally you don't have two people out like that unless they're complimenting each other vocally, or they're bouncing off of each other, or it could be this case where this is one of the first times I'm seeing it, where he's not singing, but he is not getting into, like, he's not in that spot and he's going to get himself into that spot, which is that's an interesting formation choice. So this is a really great staple movement to just get you from point A to point B. Here's why. Because whenever you go out, you can go anywhere you want in these kind of moves. It still looks big, it still looks captivating, and you can make whatever shape you want because your feet are not so restricted in twists or transitions or footwork that you're able to really like push your energy to any direction, and you're gonna get there pretty easily without ruining the integrity of the blueprint of the move. And that's why you're gonna see this move a lot in so many different choreographies. So that was nice. Whenever they hit a lot of these things, they're not hitting on both sides like I've seen other groups do. They hit and then they accent on a different part of the music. So that's why I reiterate, they have a good job of demonstrating good musicality, not just because of the choreographer, but because of them doing it themselves. So that was nice where they go hit and hit. So this is just a little clean thing. Like you can tell his shoulders are a little bit higher. He's not quite framing, like pushing the shoulders down. Normally you let your chest push through versus just holding the position. So that's just a little note of what to look for. If you're gonna cover this choreo, just think about using the chest to push up so it creates a better frame for you versus holding the position. So that's just something I'm noticing. And over time, these guys are gonna get more familiar with this pocket. So these things are gonna start to disappear. So that was a nice little moment there with the dip, 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 dip. It's simple, and I like this part of the music. Now, some of these guys, it's just little stickler things. Some of them, the angle of their elbows is a little off. So I would just figure out which way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be super out and you have more of a frame or flat, or is it more complementative where it's down the side? And then are you touching your face? Are you hovering? Those are little things that people will look at. So like he's touching, it looks like but his arm is a little bit down, his is a little bit out, his is a little bit down. So for me, it looks like it's better to frame it here. So that would just be my little note there. Because that matters, because if you have your arm out, that changes how this looks. And then if it's more on the inside, you actually have more control in how you choose to snake your head whenever you have your elbow in closer proximity, because it allows more looseness in the wrist. Okay, so for him, I'm so excited. I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually really excited to see how he grows as a dancer, because right now I can see that it's definitely probably not his top 5 favorite things. Or not favorite things, top 5 strengths. I would say his vocals are definitely a huge strength of his, as well as just his presence is great as well. So I'm excited for his dancing to become more of a strength. Just like with BTS, you have Rap Monster, Namjoon, RM, right? And then Suga and Jin, right? So they were not really the dancers of the group, but now they can hold their own so well. You can't even tell, And I would even throw V into that too, but I think he was pretty okay from the get-go anyway, but for them specifically. So I'm actually really excited to see his progress as he grows. But whenever you do this movement right here, so this is going to, it's an isolation. And what you have to be mindful of is you want to make sure that you want to create the shape that you want. So for him, he was making a box because they were framing that with their response. And so was that the cleanest? No, but did I see what the technique he was trying to do? Yes. So I would give him kudos for that for sure. And the pull, that was nice that he complimented that as well. So go pa, 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 pa. And look, they're like, look at us. Yes, go bum, bum, da, da. This feels more accurate to, I wish that this was more of the main choreo than the last course, because you notice how they kept this. And that's kind of what I was talking about. The first time it was very up, right? Because that's what the groups were, and that was the choreography connections. But here, they are keeping this kind of rock that they have throughout the whole thing, which is why I think it complements better with the whole routine, not just the course. Because do both courses work, or the choreography for both courses work? Yes. But did the first one match the other context of the song with their movement? To me personally, not as much as it could have. But this really does. So I really like this. Hit, hit, hit. So this is just really high energy for it being the end, which is also another big thing there too. And then you even have to turn, and then they chill out after that. So there's a lot of high energy for about an 8 count and a half, and then they chill it out here. And notice that some of them, I believe my guy here, I'm gonna assume he's one of the dancers, and he did with a little, notice he utilized the chest, and that's how you can make that move look more personalized, is whenever you use the chest. That's called groove, using the groove from the torso. So that was great there. So that was right. So even though they were doing really subtle feet, they still allowed their torso to match that a little bit there. Now, some of those guys, I don't think use their arm when this is just a cleanliness thing. So some people just let their body go, and some of them actually move their arm. That would be something that I would clean there. But honestly, they've done a great job so far. Whenever I watched it the first time, it's pretty clean. And we've seen some veteran groups that are not clean live. So very impressed with their training here. They should be proud of themselves. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. So just really subtle with the groove. They're using their chest to be pulled. And this was a fixed point. I think it was, right? Let me look. Turn. Okay, so it has a subtlety of a fixed point because, so if you don't know what a fixed point is, it's mimes used to do it, where it's, there's one point that is fixed in a place and then everywhere else moves, so it creates the illusion that it is stuck, right, or it's fixed in a place. That's why it's called a fixed point. And so whenever you do moves that are in opposition, where you're having your body come towards another part of your body, it's really easy to use the technique of fixed points, because as you come up, you want to think about, with the arms coming down, the chest is trying to meet the arms. Even though the arms are moving subtly, it does create that really nice illusion in opposition to the leg, because the leg was being dragged in as well. So it creates this framework of the hands to the leg, and it creates a nice tension moment. You know, it's like an Oreo cookie of tension is what I would relate that to. So it's hit, 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 hit. So it's just dun, 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 matches the words there. And then go hit, bounce, bounce, bounce. That was good. Notice what he did at the very, very end here. I think he was one of the only ones to do it. It was probably because it was just vibing. So watch what he does with his legs. So he goes hit, and he takes his knees and he pushes them out. And what's really cool is that actually looks like the appearance of triggering my two guys here to drop. And I really like that. So I don't know if that was a choreographic choice or if that was him as somebody who dances. As somebody who goes into his spot, or he made that choice himself because it felt like the right thing to do while he was singing, which I think that was a great choice. Memories. So I like, that was a nice little finish there. And they did it, and they're like, there's no ending fairy, of course, for this because it was just a fan cam. But yeah, I think they should be absolutely proud of what they did. I'm assuming this is the end of it, and everyone's like, woohoo! I wonder if Kcon does a blackout. Maybe? No? I am playing this slower, so I feel like, and then they're relaxing. They're subtly relaxing. Look at them. Yay! So, I am really proud of them. I feel, I don't know, because I'm at such the beginning stages of a group's debut, I don't know, I feel like I'm a little bit a part of the journey with them, and it's been such a long time since I've been in that position. And so I think it's really fun to be in this way where I'm hopeful that I'm going to try to catch all of their releases. I'm going to try hard to do that just so I can kind of just see their growth. Because like I said, some of these guys, like I could tell he's definitely a dancer. I could tell he has great dancing influence. I think most of them do. But for him, I'm really excited for him. I cannot wait to see a year from now how his movement qualities improve. Maybe I'll do a video on it, I don't know, but we'll see. I hope for their success. It looks like they worked really hard, and I also know that all of them are at least like 18, 19, because some people, thank you for your comments, some of you guys gave me some good clarifying heights, because I made a note about height in their last video that I made for them, as well as their age range from 2000 to 2004. So that means that pretty much all of them are at least over 18. And so for me, it does feel different too when you're dealing with an all adult group, because I mean, they're also very young though, mind you, but they're still adults, right? And it feels different for me. Sometimes I feel more comfortable critiquing or analyzing because I'm speaking to like an adult, you know, versus a child. Like with somebody who's a minor or who's younger, I am more sensitive to how I present feedback. Even if they never watch this, I'm still talking about a child. So I want to be more mindful as I make these videos of that context, as I learn that information also too, because I'm not going to know the ages of all these groups, but you guys have helped me a lot so far, so thank you for that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. This was great. Shout out to the individual who did this fan cam. Awesome. This video, I was able to make this video this early because of you, so thank you for that. And shout out to Kcon. You guys are bringing over people to America to perform for the American audience, and it gives everybody a more cost-effective way to be able to enjoy these artists in this way, which is super cool, which is great. And yeah, I guess I'll check you guys later. Bye.